Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2019 F2 season. This is the penultimate round for the round in Russia, and as you can see we have a 36-point lead in the championship over Nicholas Latifi. So at this point it would take quite a disaster to lose the championship, but that's no reason to be backing off. We are still in the fight for the constructors, or the team's championship rather. So I'll really be focusing on that this weekend, and I really hope that Hubert is on the pace and we might be able to bring ourselves back into that fight. We've been given an opportunity with Sete Camara's retirement from the last weekend, so let's try to make the most of it here in Russia.
We're here at the Sochi Autodrome on the Black Sea, heading into this weekend's Formula 2 practice session. The teams are working on their final alterations in the garages, and any moment now, the cars will be sent out for the first time.
Alright, so here we are for practice around the Russian circuit. I really do love this circuit. It is, I don't know, pretty good, except for the last sector, but we'll get to that. But one thing I am worried about for this weekend is the performance of the soft tyres and, or the softer compound, I think it's the super softs for this weekend, and just how badly they wear out. Obviously, if you watch Formula 2, you would know that in real life they lasted about 3 laps before the alternative tyres, the harder compound, were faster. And that's not just talking about fresh ones, that's talking about hard compound tyres that have been on the car for basically the entire race. If you watch the feature race, you would have seen Louis Delatraz re-overtaking Giotto, who was on about 4 lap old super soft tyres, compared to, I don't know, 20 something lap old of the harder compound. And Delatraz re-overtook him just coming into this corner on the final lap. It was a really nice move. But anyway, as we are heading into these corners, this is the one part of the track I don't like, is just those 2 corners there. It's just a really kind of awkward shape, and just sort of keeps turning left with a little kink in the road there. And I just don't like that little part of the racetrack. But other than that, I really do like this Russian circuit at the Sochi Autodrome. But anyway, 2 corners to go for our practice lap, so let's see what we can achieve around the final corner now and onto the main straight. Very early start line.
Okay, you're in the top 10.
And we go fastest for now.
Quick look at the classification at the end of the session then. Here are your top 3. Calderon, Giotto and Nicholas Latifi. That's it for practice then. We'll see you again soon.
And we topped the session, and Hubert is up in 9th, so we may still yet have a chance at the team's title.
Welcome to Formula 2 and the qualifying session for tomorrow's feature race. We're here on the shores of the Black Sea at Sochi, and the cars will be exiting the pits any minute now.
Alright, so here we are for qualifying. We've just finished our first lap, our banker lap, and we'll go on for another one. You can see we're red to begin with, but as we open the DRS and head towards turn 2, hopefully we'll be able to gain some time back, and hopefully we can improve on our banker lap. It wasn't the cleanest lap, so let's see what we can do through turn 2 and 3. You can see we've already gone green. So we're already managing to maybe brake slightly later and get through there cleanly. And through turn 3, now into turn 4, very aggressive on the entry there, using all the width on the left that I think we can get away with. And we did just about get away with that. You can get a track limits warning there, but that was all good on that occasion. We're purple to the first sector, but we've hit the wall.
Be careful with the front wing, you've taken some minor damage.
And that's going to affect us all throughout the rest of this lap, but we're going to be very fast and aggressive just to see if we can still improve on our time. We did get that purple first sector, so that's could just about save us. Very aggressive on the track limits there. I'm very surprised we got away with that one. But along the back straight and towards the
Okay, take it easy on the car. We can't sustain this level of damage.
second sector split is purple as well, so we are improving on our time. But this last sector will be where we feel the damage. If any. There's a lot of right-handers at the end of the lap, so let's see if that really affects us. We've gone too deep into the fourth to last corner, and that may cost us some time, but we are still green to our first banker lap, so that shows you how bad that lap was. It may have had slightly cooler tyres than what's ideal, but as we almost bottle it over the line, we get a green final sector as well, even with that
We've
mistake.
had to spend time repairing the damage to the car.
Sorry guys, but it happens. But anyway, we go again, we get the damage repaired. It's the same set of tyres. They've seen their best at this point, but I think we can still improve on that time. So into turns 2, a little bit deep in there, and that's going to cost us some time. You can see we're red in the top right corner, so not finding any improvements so far, but where we really lost time on that lap was in the final sector, so we may be able to gain it back if we can keep it on the road. So now as we head into the final sector, you can see we've got 2 red sectors so far, so unable to match what we did before, and this backs up what I was saying in practice about the tyres maybe not being too flash after a few laps, but getting through the little chicane there a lot better than before, and we are green, so we've made up the time there through that chicane, and now through the final corners we just have to keep it on track and we will improve our time. So as we head across the finish line, where will we finish qualifying? P8. Not a bad recovery, not bad at all.
The grid is all set for the race tomorrow, but before we go, let's quickly remind ourselves of our top 3, which are De Vries, Joe and Mick Schumacher. It's time to leave for now, but we'll be back tomorrow when the feature race gets itself underway.
But unfortunately our rivals Sadiq Camera and Latifi both ahead of us, Hubert 1 position behind. So we've got our work cut out for us this weekend, but I have faith that we'll both be able to move our way forwards. Giuliano Alesi, a massive lap from him. Really good qualifying to get up into P8 or 7 even in that Trident car. Matsushita, a decent qualifying as well for where he normally is in these video game races. Normally he's probably a bit more competitive in real life than where he has been in this career mode-ish thing so far. But anyway, that's enough rambling. Let's get into the race.
And here in Russia, today's race is about to start. We're at the Sochi Autodrome, and the drivers on the grid are almost ready to begin. Join us as we enjoy today's Formula 2 event. The Sochi Autodrome is a 3.6-mile circuit encompassing venues built for Russia's 2014 Olympics. Close barriers will make overtaking difficult in places, but much of the track can be taken flat out. The fans definitely won't be left wanting when it comes to the spectacle of sheer speed. Joining me for the race today, I'm delighted to welcome back to the commentary box the 2012 GP2 champion, Davide Valsecchi. Davide, it's great to have you with us for today's race. Any tips for our drivers out on the track today?
It's a real pleasure to be here, Alex. We are in for a spectacular day in Formula 2. My advice is to stay calm, look after the car, look after the tires, but don't be afraid to push when you see an opportunity. Using the DRS on some of those long straights will be crucial for the driver looking to make a challenge.
We are nearly ready for the start of today's race, but in the meantime, let's take a look at the grid. Nick De Vries starts from pole position. Guan Yu Zhou alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Schumacher, Sete Camara, Nobuharu Matsushita, and Latifi, Alesi, Calderon, Hubert, Calamirot, Correa, Boschon, Louis Delatraz, and Galeo, Raghunathan, Giotto, King, and Dorian Boccolacci. Aitken and Nikita Mazepin starts from the back of the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
You should have some space going into the first corner, so try to keep it tidy.
Alright, we will try to keep everything tidy into the first corner, try to keep the front wing on the car. 5 red lights, and away we go for the feature race here in Russia, and it's been a pretty poor start, as we've come to expect in these F2 cars, but that's not the end of the world. We've managed to survive that weird kink, and that's an achievement in itself sometimes. But we go for a dive down the inside of everyone into the first corner, and we managed to just about get through there. We didn't get taken out by Dorian Boccolacci this time. And now through turn 3, can we hold it around the outside and maybe take another position? We're sort of there, but I was a bit early on the brakes, and Giuliano Alesi was able to hold the position there, and a really nice start from him, now challenging the cars ahead, as we're being a little bit cautious through all of this, but that is partly due to the tyres. They just don't feel quite right at this point of the race, but they'll come up to temperature very soon, and we'll be able to push on. But Alesi is looking like we can maybe make a move, but a little bit of a dodgy exit there. But we're in the slipstream, so we maybe have a chance going into the final sector. We're fairly close. Can we make a move to the inside, down the inside of Giuliano Alesi? But he leaves the space. We go down the inside and almost make some contact, but we just about get away with that, and we hold it around the outside and take the position, and we get through there. So that was a bit of a... I wasn't really sure what I was doing there, if I was going to make the move or not, but thankfully Alesi left the space and I took it. But yeah, that was a bit of indecision on my part there through that part. But up ahead, Guan Yu Zhou has a mechanical issue. He's pulling off the road, and he will take no further part in this race. But Mick Schumacher and Nobuharu Matsushita side by side through turn 2 and 3. And Schumacher will have the inside. One of the Dams cars trying to get involved there as well, but they pull back in behind. Schumacher trying to pull through on the inside of turn 3. They're side by side. Matsushita holding it around the outside to try to get the inside of turn 4, and he might just do that down the inside, and Matsushita holds on from Mick Schumacher through turn 4 and gets that position. Meanwhile, we're side by side with Anton Hubert, who's made the most of a little mistake by myself, but we're going to hold it on the inside of turn 5 and maintain the position ahead of Hubert. And now we can try to chase down Sete Camara. Hopefully Hubert won't be too much of a distraction. We've got another mechanical failure for one of the Charouz cars, and that is Calamirot, and he is out of the race and pulls it up. So 2 cars out of the race in the very early stages, but meanwhile we go down the inside of Sergio Sete Camara, and we are trying to get the position, and we do through the final corner. A bit of an unusual place to make a pass, immediately move across to break slipstream, but he gives us a bump going through turn 2 and gets his way back through. So very aggressive battling between us. And can we make a move into turn 4? We go for down the inside, very aggressive there, and that's a little bit of payback for the previous bump. And we managed to get that position back from Sete Camara, parking right on the apex and trying to stop him from getting any chance of an over and under through there. And we hold on to the position, also trying to bring Hubert into the battle, and hopefully Hubert can overtake him as well. But looking back, we've got Hubert around the outside of Sete Camara into turn 2, and he's going to make the position through turn 3 and moves himself up ahead of Sergio Sete Camara and behind me. So really nice move there by Hubert, and now Hubert's behind me. I've made a bit of a mistake here, going too deep into turn 2, and at this point I just think Hubert is clearly faster than I am, so moved out of the way, let him past, probably a bit too easily there, gave him a bit of too much space. I slowed myself down too much, but we didn't lose the spot. Steady camera, what's happened to him? He's dropped off massively. He may have got damage at some point with our battles from either myself or Hubert, and maybe he's dropping off because of that, I'm not sure, but Sergio Steady camera is really struggling in this one. Speaking of struggling, you can see our tyres are getting a little on the worn side, not too bad.
Okay, we might want to pit early. There's cars bunched up ahead.
But it's actually really the temperatures, or...
We're approaching the pit window. You'll be on the mediums.
Shut up, Jeff. It's the temperatures or the... I'm not sure. But something is really affecting my pace, and I'm not enjoying these tyres anymore. So we're going to come in to the pits, get a new set on, and see if that helps our cause. So it's a couple of laps early, but that's just an undercut in my opinion. So let's go into our box and get some new tyres on. And off we go again. So new tyres on the car, we'll get an undercut, but I'm not exactly sure always how powerful that is in the Formula 2 cars, being on the cold tyres for a lap.
Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound.
Can actually cost a bit of time as well. Depends how quickly the tyres come up to temperature. So that will be an issue. We'll see how it plays out, I suppose. But we just need to keep it clean and try to put in the best lap we can. But as we move on, we passed a whole bunch of cars who are in pit lane, but Schumacher is ahead of us. So I don't think we've gained too much. I think Schumacher was ahead of us before we came in, so as we come around again on the next lap, see how many more cars we can pass, we move back up.
P6, we're now running in P6.
Exactly where we were before. So we're in a bit of a bubble of our own. Meanwhile, you heard the radio before, Nick de Vries is out in front and absolutely dominating. Matsushita comes out of pit lane and maintains his second place. That is Nicholas Latifi in third. Hubert and Schumacher fighting over fourth place up ahead. We've got a car behind us putting the pressure on, and down the inside goes Louis Delatraz, but we're going to try and hold it around the outside, and we maintain that position ahead of Louis Delatraz for now. But he's coming on strong towards the end of this one, and we're going to have to watch out for him in the closing stages, but there is a long way to go, so it'll be a long ask, or a big ask, to hold him off for such a long time, but we'll give it our best shot. So as we move on, Louis Delatraz down the inside towards the third sector, and I just can't even fight that. He was a long way ahead by the time we got to the corner. He had a bit of a lock up there, but that was very late in the braking zone. There was no opportunity there. So Louis Delatraz takes a position. I get put down to P7, but Giuliano Alesi is the next car behind, and I think I'll be able to hold him off. But meanwhile, up ahead, it is Hubert down the inside of Nicholas Latifi, and he may get this done around the outside of turn 3. We've seen the outside be the better line through here. It worked for Matsushita, so let's see if it works for Hubert. Around the outside of Latifi is going to go down the inside of turn 4. But Latifi's going to hold it there, but not quite for long enough, and Hubert takes P3 in this one. Okay. That was weird. We've lost communication with Jeff. That's interesting. I'm not sure if that's a feature, that you can have a radio failure or just a glitch, but you know, I'm just going to say it's a feature, but if it's not, it should be. That is really cool. Obviously it's a thing that happens in real life. They occasionally the team can't hear the driver, or vice versa, and that's kind of a cool thing. So we're emulating that at the moment. Whether it's a glitch or a feature, I'm not sure, but we can't hear Jeff. Not sure if he can hear us, but yeah, we certainly cannot hear anything Jeff is saying at the moment. So there's a communication issue in the car, but anyway, that is well, that is something I haven't had before. But anyway, we will push on. The communication is not necessarily necessary. What am I saying? But up ahead, we've got more battles going on. It is Hubert passing Nobuharu Matsushita, and Hubert finds his way up into P2 in this race. He is absolutely flying. And we move on to the end of the race. Nyck de Vries takes the win. An absolutely dominant showing from the Nuts driver. P2 will go to Anton Hubert, Matsushita chasing him all the way to the end, and Nicholas Latifi having to settle for a 4th place finish after looking strong for a podium for quite a while in this one. And we come around the final corner.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
After pretty much nothing happening in the last phase of the race for us.
A great win then for the ART team today. Davide, what do you think made the difference here?
I think they kept a cool head. That's why they won today. Smooth, steady, everything bad that happened to them, they handled it calmly and professionally. That's what let them focus on getting the best out everything else.
Torian
The car,
Boccalacci.
the strategy, they managed to keep out of trouble the whole way around.
ART, the French team who have been racing since the 90s in various forms of motorsport, are once again back on the winner's podium today after a brilliant display of driving skill.
So Nyck de Vries takes the race win. Hubert charging through the field to get P2, and Matsushita holding on for a decent P3 for him, and more silverware for that Japanese driver.
After this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the driver's table. It was not the best weekend for our championship leader, and their advantage at the top has been reduced. And so, driver of the day then, Davide Valsecchi, who do you think you'd go for?
I think it has to be Luca Guillaume. You know, good on tires, some nice passes. I can't really think of anyone who caught my ass more today.
And here's how things are shaping up in the team's championship. After all this drama, you'd be mad not to join us for the next race. We hope to see you then. Take care.
Alright, thanks for that. So we've actually closed up quite significantly in the team's championship because Sergio Sede Camera, I have no idea what happened to him in this race, but he's dropped a lot of positions. He was right down the back of the field by the end of it. I can only assume that he got damage, and that's what caused all that. But an absolute disaster for Sede Camera, and Hubert overtaking Latifi and Matsushita towards the end of the race, certainly helping us close the points gap. I obviously only scored a handful of points in this one. That wasn't ideal, but nonetheless, it is a few extra points nonetheless, and it may help us win the team's title as we head into the final round in Abu Dhabi. But we still have the sprint race to go, and anything can happen in that one. Reverse top 8, so we'll be starting near the front. Hopefully we'll have better pace in that one, but in this one the pace just wasn't there. It looked okay at the start. We were able to overtake Sede Camera, we were able to overtake Alesi, but other than that, not much really happened for us. We let Hubert past as well, he had better pace than we did, and that's really all that happened in the entire race for us. There was the fight with Louis Delatraz as well, but yeah, the last section of the race for us, nothing really happened, and we were just sort of tracking Hubert's progress, and thankfully he was able to pull out a good result for us. But you can nice track limits just there, but yeah, bit of a disappointing one for us, but oh well, we'll have a good starting position for the next one. the whole race will be on the harder compound, which is the compound I tend to prefer versus the AI. So I think we have something to look forward to in the sprint race. So let's just see how that goes.
Welcome back for the final event of the weekend, the sprint race. Here, the top 8 from yesterday's feature race are reversed to make up the grid below us, and in just a few minutes, those drivers will be hurtling down into turn 1. I'm not the only one sitting here today who's looking forward to today's race. My friend and ex-GP2 champion Davide Valsecchi next to me is already on the edge of his seat awaiting the start of the event. How's it going today?
Hello there, Alex. I'm great, thank you, and very excited to get started. I have a feeling we are in for a very special event today.
Okay, the run into turn 1 isn't too long, so the pack will be bunched up. Take care.
Alright, thank you for that one, Jeff. Front row start for this one next to Luca Ghiotto. We've got 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go for the sprint race here in Russia. It's a really nice start compared to Ghiotto, and we finally get away well in one of these F2 races. And Luca Ghiotto will have to settle for second place as we head towards turn 2. But it's going to go to the inside. Schumacher to the inside of Ghiotto. It's going to be 3 wide heading into turn 2. Schumacher with a big dive down the inside. And a bit of contact between the 3 of us. Schumacher gets through. Ghiotto down to 3rd. We're going to hold on to P2 at this point. Ghiotto's still on the outside there somewhere, but he's going to slide in behind us as we're struggling to get the car turned through there. But we do manage eventually to keep it on the racing line. But Schumacher, a really aggressive start, and puts himself into the early lead of this race. But we're going to try and chase him down through the rest of this lap, see if we can close the gap over the course of the next few laps and get the DRS. And that might be our only chance if the pace doesn't improve from the last one. But we'll see how it plays out over the next few laps. We just need to try and stay as close to him as possible, which is working for us so far. We haven't dropped too far back yet, but as we move on, we are not catching Schumacher. We're under attack from the cars behind. Louis Delatraz down the inside, and he manages to get through there. And he actually has the fastest lap at this point, which he also had in the last race. I'm not sure if he finished with the fastest lap, but he certainly held it at some point. But anyway, following him through, we couldn't make a re-overtaking move, but if we can stay close enough, we may be able to make a move into the final sector. But it actually will come a bit later than that, into turn 2, down the inside, and made a little bit of contact there, and not quite able to make the big dive work. But we're going to carry the speed through turn 3 much better than he does. We've taken a slightly wider line, and we're going to make a massive dive down the inside, and we're almost pushing him out the way there. He left us a bit of space, probably got a bit spooked out the way, but we managed to get through there. You can see we didn't make contact. He just drove himself off the road, but he's going to come back at us into the first corner and find his way through there again. So it's a real backwards and forwards battle with Louis Delatraz, and it seems that neither one of us has an excessive amount of pace over the other driver. And we can see we're re-overtaking him again using that same tactic, just carrying the speed through turn 3 rather than sticking to the line, and that's really helping us out. And you can see again squeezing him towards the apex of turn 2, but he manages to get through there. But we're going to try out the same tactic again. We've gone a little bit of a weird line this time, and that could cost us. I was trying to make a bit more of a flowing line, but still trying to carry the speed, but it didn't really work out for us, and Louis Delatraz holds the position. But it's not over yet. We will get the DRS on the straights if we're still close enough, and that'll help us out on re-overtaking him if there is another opportunity. So we just need to stick as close as possible through the next few corners, and we still might have the chance. Luca Giotto is also lurking behind. Bit of a mistake there, running off the road a bit, not quite braking early enough through that awkward couple of corners there. But onto the straight, we're still fairly close behind Delatraz, so can we maybe make a move into the final sector? Let's see what we can do. We've got the DRS open, and now as we head along the back straight, we are gaining on Louis Delatraz, gaining massively, and we're going to go to the inside, down the inside of Delatraz, and we make the move, and he's still there on the left hand side. We're going to have to hold it around the outside of Delatraz. Giotto, remember, is still behind us as well, so we can't afford to lose too much time, but we do manage to get the position. That's a really nice dive down the inside there, and nice side-by-side battle. But Delatraz going to come back at us into the first corner. Delatraz down the inside, and we leave him some space. He's there somewhere. There he is, and through he goes. But again, we're just going to try and hold the momentum, but he's done that pretty well himself. But can we make a move? No, not close enough this time. We're just going to have to sit behind and maybe make another opportunity work for us. But that has cost us a bit. But we will have another opportunity down the outside this time. And I definitely didn't say opportunity there. But didn't quite make the move, but we're fairly close behind. And we're going to try to have a nice flowing line. This is what I was trying to do before, wider on the entry, and that is a really nice move, squeezing him all the way to the edge there, just about leaving enough space for him, and that was very close to contact, but we get through and make our way ahead of Delatraz, but he's down the inside again, and just about making the move there. We're just still ahead, but he's still on the inside, side by side, bit of contact there, squeezing him to the apex. We're off the track. Delatraz giving us a bit of a nudge, but we're going to hold on. But we got an illegal overtake for overtaking him off the circuit, and I tried to let him pass, but Giotto straight away tries to take the advantage there, side by side with Giotto along the back straight now, and the fight with Delatraz may just be over if we lose too much more time here, and Giotto is in the slipstream, but can we try to hold it around the outside? Very hard to drive between Giotto and the wall. Keep in mind I'm using a controller. I don't have the precision that you might be able to get with steering wheel, hence all the wobbling around there trying to not make contact. But we managed to manage all that. But Delatraz is gone. The fight with him is over at this point, and now it's a battle with Luca Giotto for third position here. So we just need to try to hold him off. And we held off Delatraz for quite a while, and that seemed to be working okay for us. So I'm not too worried. We've definitely got a lack of pace, but here we go again. Giotto down the inside, and he kind of half backs out of it, and we have a little bump there. But he goes for another move around the outside into the last sector, and we really squeeze him out there, not give him anywhere to go, and hold the position. A bit deep under brakes there, but I'm quite desperate for any points that we can get, and you can see now it's actually Nick de Vries that's putting the pressure on, but we're going to hold him off on the inside here. I think it's a little bit harder to hold on the inside, but it works for us on this occasion. He almost manages a switchback there, but we managed to hold on, and de Vries has to wait another lap for another opportunity as we are defending again, squeezing him all the way to the apex. We go back to the racing lane, he follows us over, we go around the outside, but he's going to get the momentum as we get caught up on the curb and lose ours, and de Vries holds on. We're in the slipstream though, around the left hand. We're going to go to the inside, down the inside of de Vries, and we're going to get the position back off of de Vries, and that was a really nice move. And now de Vries is under pressure from Matsushita, and Matsushita down the inside, and he may just get that position. But as we look further on into the race, de Vries now under pressure from Luca Giotto, so he may be suffering similar to the way Sede Camera was. Giotto manages to find his way through, and we're off the road, and Matsushita manages to find his way past us, and that is a mistake that we could ill afford. in this one, but we try to go around the outside of Matsushita, but we couldn't quite pull it up, so I decided to let him back past and continue the fight. Again, I felt like that wasn't really a fair pass, so we come back at him again down the inside, and we almost made contact there as we were both moving around a bit on the lines, but we managed to get back through. But we make a bit of a mistake coming out of the third to last corner. Matsushita's down the inside. Can we hold around the outside of the second last corner? No, we can't. Matsushita gets through, but we'll have the DRS on the straight. We're going to come back at him, and we're going to go down the inside into turn 2, down the inside of Matsushita, and we will hold our position just about. But this is a really good battle with Matsushita. There's some other cars behind that are going to look to get involved soon, so we can't cost each other too much more time. But for now, we've found our way back onto the podium. But this battle can only go on for so long, and I'm just hoping that we can drive away now. But with the DRS and the slipstream and the equal cars, it is very, very difficult to get away. But Matsushita down the inside into the final sector, and we're going to go down the inside of him. We've hit him and go for a slide, but thankfully we're just about able to save it. Really nice work from Giotto to not run into the back of us there as we were sliding. But back on board with myself. This is actually the final lap of the race, and Matsushita has won our little battle. We're going to give Giotto the big squeeze into the penultimate corner to make sure he cannot overtake us. And that was an aggressive defense, but a necessary one. And around the final corner, we're going to hold on to P4.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Ferme.
That was an intense ending to the race, but not a good one, really.
Winner, pulling their Prema into Parc Ferme then. What a fantastic race. And Davide Valsecchi, give me your thoughts. How did they accomplish this result?
I think they kept a cool head. That's why they won today. Smooth, steady, everything bad that happened to them, they handled it calmly and professionally. That's what let them focus on getting the best out everything else. The car, the strategy, they managed to keep out of trouble the whole way around.
As we look back on a thrilling race here today, we can now see the drivers take their places on the podium. It's a familiar sight by now, as it's another successful F2 win for Prema.
So, Mick Schumacher takes the race win. Louis Delatraz P2, Matsushita P3, double podium for the Carlin team. And a double podium also for the weekend for Matsushita. So, solid weekend for him. So that brings this weekend to an end, basically. So we'll have a quick look at the points in the Team's Championship. Drivers' Championship is not really a big deal at this point, but we have closed the gap in Team's Championship massively to DAMS. It's now just 16 points, so I really hope we can overhaul that gap in Abu Dhabi and maybe, just maybe, take the Team's Championship there, but we will have to see. So in terms of the Drivers' Championship though, we have a pretty big gap to Latifi now. It is 34 points, so it is a gap that he can make up, but I think it's very unlikely, so we'll see. But in terms of anyone else, Sadek Kamra has dropped to 4th in the championship, so he's basically out of it. De Vries, with a solid weekend, has found his way up to 3rd now, and he's 48 points behind, which is right on the limit. If you win both races, that's 40 points plus the fastest lap and pole position and fastest lap in both races. That adds up to 48 points. So mathematically he could still win, but I think I would win based on countback, but I'm not exactly sure. I haven't done any numbers on that at all. That's just a guess. But anyway, that's it for this episode. next episode is all based on the Constructors' Championship for me, I think. So let's see how that plays out in Abu Dhabi. But until then, see you next time. Goodbye. I need to turn the microphone off I need to stop the recording. There we go.